So please welcome State Representative Christy Purcell, who recently supported the bill to make Minnesota a trans-refugee state.
Hi everybody! Happy Pride! My name is Christy Purcell, and if you live in Northfield, Dundas, Lonsdale, the north half of New Prague, or the surrounding townships, I represent you in the People's House, the Minnesota House of Representatives. Thank you for sending me there. I just finished my first term as your state representative, and I am so honored to have been able to vote for some really fantastic and important legislation all across the board, from funding our schools to our public defenders, as well as lots of LGBTQIA legislation, and I'm going to tell you about a few of those things. So, as Sven mentioned, we did pass a trans refuge bill to make sure that when families come here, yes, when families come here for gender-affirming care or for vacation or for whatever reason, we will not share information, extradite those families, and we will make sure that those families, and especially those kids, are protected for being who they are, because in Minnesota, we love you. We also followed suit of the Northfield City Council, who you'll get to hear from a counselor in a moment, but we banned conversion therapy in Minnesota. We passed the Take Pride Act, which updated a false and outdated language in our Human Rights Amendment. We now have an LGBTQ Two-Spirit Plus Council at the state level to help direct legislation going forward for our state. There is $2 million that we put in our education finance bill to fund public school renovations to include gender-neutral bathrooms. More than $12 million for funding HIV needs in the state, and repeals a 1995 law that if a person takes steps to prevent transmission of HIV or AIDS, they are not guilty of a crime under our law. It was a little bit wild to me when I got to the House to realize what some things were still on the books, but hopefully we're taking strides forward. One other small provision that I wanted to make sure, especially at this event, to talk about, there's $750,000 into a P fund, and that money will come from the state and provide grants to queer-owned small Minnesota businesses. 1/3 of those funds will go to queer entrepreneurs of color. 1/3 will go to Greater Minnesota, not in the 7-county metro area, and 1/3 available to all Minnesotans. So if you are a small business entrepreneur and identify as queer, please, there is funding to help you get your business started and going, and we want to make sure that we remain a state that loves and protects everyone. Thank you for sending me to St. Paul. Thank you for having me today. Happy Pride!
Thank you, Christy, for all the hard work that you're doing for Northfield and Minnesota.
And I just wanted to say a big round of applause again for her and our legislature this year, because I just saw this morning from Out Leadership. They rank every state in terms of an LGBTQ plus climate change index, which is, both issues are important to me, and we are number 6 out of 50, and it's thanks to what they did this year. We beat California, sorry Robert.
All right, so now please welcome David Sunka, Northfield City Council member and the first trans person to be elected to office in Greater Minnesota. And now that we have him up here, so David was also the winner of the beard contest in the ginger category at the 2022 defeat of Jesse Jamestown.
Thank you.
best award I ever won. So, hi everyone, happy Pride. My name is Davin Sokuk. I use he/him pronouns, and I'm a transgender man. And last November, I was elected to the Northfield City Council. Thank you. The reason that's personally meaningful to me is because I was born in Northfield, and I grew up here and in Faribault. And growing up, I didn't know any other trans people, or really even that trans people existed. This was now almost exactly 20 years ago. Before my junior year of high school, I came out as a lesbian because that's what made the most sense at the time. And that was like 2003 in Faribault. And at that time, I was the only out student in my entire school. To make a long story very short, by the time I graduated, I wanted to get as far away as possible and never imagined I would return to my home. After I left, I met other trans people, and for the first time in my life, started to make a lot more sense. I could see that there was a way for me to exist fully because I saw it reflected in others like me. I'm sharing all of this because during Pride, we are reminded that it takes courage to stand up and be who you are. We celebrate this time every year because it marks that first spark, the first time in our country where a group of people like us stood up and said we will no longer hide or make ourselves smaller for the comfort of others. Yeah, it's a big deal. And it's why any of us are here as we are. During Pride, we're also reminded of why being part of a larger community is so powerful. Our larger society puts such an emphasis on the individual, but where would any of us be without one another? I know I would be completely lost. It's essential to have people in our lives who can look at us and say, I know how you feel. People who just by existing remind us that we aren't alone. So when we hear now the argument in our society that trans people existing is somehow taking away from others' way of life, I often hear queer people counter with the argument of, no, us existing doesn't affect your life at all. And I get that, and I've said that myself. But my experience tells me, as someone who has come back to this place where I grew up, and the place where I felt lost for so long and had no idea who I was, now that I'm back here as my full self, giving back to my community in a way that feels right to me, I can see that my existence does affect those around me, and I want it to. Being trans affects the way I interact with every person in my life for the better. So on this day, I'm thinking about all the ways our lives positively affect the lives of others, because anytime someone is fully who they are going to contribute to those around them. That's why Pride is so important. It reminds us to have the courage to be who we are while we stand next to others like us. I hope everyone here knows in their hearts how important it is that you're here and that you're not alone. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for being visible. All of us, right? I'm going to steal a line from Emily from a few minutes ago that stuck out to me, because Pride is really fun and cool, and it's really cool to see all these other towns having Prides too, because it used to just be the Twin Cities, basically, right? But that's one day, right? What happens the other 364 days? Something meaningful and lasting should come out of that, which I think is a really cool segue to what is happening this year. This year, the Northfield Pride Committee has been able to do something really special by awarding an LGBTQ plus graduating senior, nominated by a mentor, $1,000 Pride in the Park Flexible Scholarship. Please welcome Committee Chair Emily Lloyd.
Thank you so much, Sven. In relation to what you just said, I want everyone to know that in the circle in the center, we have a place where you can sign up if you're interested in helping us to plan or attending future LGBTQ plus events in Northfield. We are looking to make this become much more than this day. Okay, so thank you so much. It is my great honor and our great honor as the Northfield Pride Committee
to award the first annual Pride in the Park Flexible Scholarship to Milo Wheeling. As they were. Milo's nomination painted a picture of a wonderful, involved queer youth. We're thrilled that Northfield Pride can support Milo's future plans. Congratulations, Milo. We're going to hear a few words from Milo's mentor who nominated him. Hi, I'm Tammy Cash-Flug and I work at Arcadia Charter School. When I heard about this scholarship and looking for someone who's visible and active in the community, one of the first people I thought of was Milo. I've watched Milo grow from 6th grade to senior year, not only developing and continuing to develop their curiosity for learning for themselves, but discovering that it means to help someone else learn. And through teaching many book clubs, which eventually became classes in our school, introducing students to new literature, and really just being there as a support for all of the people in our building, I knew that you deserved this. So I was very happy to see you earn it. Congratulations, Milo.